Greetings, my name is Robin Walker. I'm the author of the book Black History Matters. I wrote this book to fulfill a commission. An editor from Hachette wrote to me out of the blue to propose a book idea. She wanted a hard-hitting book on Black history. As a teacher and an author with this kind of expertise, I had a vision of how this book could look. I had previously written on African history, but my material was aimed at adults. The challenge was, could I produce a book aimed at children, perhaps aged 13 to 16, and compress this much content into 64 pages? Could I find the right illustrations that would tell Africa's story? Could I produce content and biographies that could be turned into factoids that would engage children?
The feedback I received is a lot of them liked the Windrush pages in particular because they could see their parents, grandparents' stories represented in the book. So from about page 54 onwards, a lot of people could actually relate directly to the kinds of histories. And then you had some people that were blown away by some of the facts elsewhere in the book, such as the Tanzanian history pages, African coins being found on the northern fringes of Australia, and those coins dating back to the 11th century. Again, that tended to blow some minds, and people wanted to know, where's the original information on that? And I could point them to the news articles that popularized those archaeological finds.
My favourite fact was the discovery, reported on page 18, that historians have estimated the wealth of powerful rulers and the most successful business people throughout history. The result was presented by an American website in 2012. A West African ruler called Musa I of the 14th century topped the list with an estimated fortune of $400 billion. Now, if we were to make that in today's calculation, that would be £315 billion. What being shortlisted by the School Library Association means to me is an opportunity to get young people and people in the library sector talking about information books. Young people can never read too much and can never be exposed to too many books. Young people will take books seriously when they see the adults also taking books seriously. If my book is successful and wins the category, it would be a great honor for me to know that my book is encouraging young people to read, engage with Black history, and expand their minds to the world beyond just their own existence.
History Matters. This is a fascinating and very opportune look at Black history, beginning with its origins in the early civilizations and across the African continent. Over the last few years, there has been a greater emphasis on the archaeology of various kingdoms, such as that of Kush, which lie to the south of Egypt, but which eventually ruled their northern neighbour for over 100 years. So this is a really good starting point for the book. But then we move on to look at cultures in different areas of the continent, from Great Zimbabwe, which is in the east, obviously, to the Great Western Desert Empires. The narrative then follows the growth of the slave trade and movements for abolition, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom. This then follows through with the movement for civil rights, which takes us into the 19th and 20th centuries, and then right up to the present day, where the book looks at the Windrush generation, which is extremely pertinent to all of us, and the movement for equality in the UK. And it looks at our political structures and some minority ethnic people who have managed to break through the barriers and are now part of the political establishment It's really, really thought-provoking and an absolutely amazing read.
Hi, so I'm Ben Rothery, the author and illustrator of Hidden Planet, which is this big guy here. It's a large format illustrated natural history book. It's a really special book for me. I've described it as my love letter to planet Earth, and it really is. It's filled with wildlife facts, not just about the bold and beautiful species, you know, lion, zebra, bird of paradise, all of those guys, but the interesting and ugly ones too, because they're just as important. It explores the hidden connections between animals that we share this planet with, and lets you know sort of things that you didn't know about species that you thought you were familiar with. I wrote this book for the kid that I used to be and others like him, so that sort of precocious, maybe slightly annoying child who's interested in things above their age range. And Ladybird have been wonderful, sort of allowing me to bring that to life. So I've been asked to choose my favourite spread, and if I had to choose, it would probably be the Komodo dragon, which is this guy here, or maybe the octopus, this one. It's quite hard to choose, but if I had to choose my favourite species, that's a little bit easier. So it's a little creature known as a rock hyrax, so this guy, or a dussie as we'd call them in South Africa, and they're the elephant's closest relative, which is handy in a book about the hidden connections between things. I just love them. They're a bit of a rubbish animal. I mean, they're a grumpy, toothy little creature with nothing going for them that everything likes to eat, and I just adore them. They're on page 20 and 21, if anyone's interested. Being shortlisted for this award means the world to me, because Hidden Planet is such a deeply personal book. The idea that anyone would think that it's worthy of an award is a really wonderful feeling. So I guess all that leaves me with is to wish everybody else on the shortlist the very best of luck, and I can't wait to see who wins. All right, bye.
Judging the books for the award, we applied all the traditional criteria we'd normally use for selecting information books: suitability for the audience, organisation and navigational features, design and layout, appeal, relevance, originality of approach, and so on. But as we were choosing books for an award, we were also looking for the wow factor, and Hidden Planet by Ben Rothery has that in bucket loads. In fact, when we were talking about the shortlisted books, this one was guaranteed to produce an audible wow from our Key Stage 3 groups. It's impressive visually, produced in an uncharacteristically large format for Ladybird, with meticulously detailed illustrations which are technically accurate and immensely pleasing to look at. But it has an equally engaging text which explains the relationships between species that might otherwise seem unconnected. Our students were in total awe of the clownfish's ability to change gender. Equally good for dipping into or to support research, this love letter to the natural world will appeal to a much wider audience than 13 to 16, 8 to 80 I would say, and any would-be David Attenborough will undoubtedly want to read the book from cover to cover.
Deborah Ferret. I teach at Lancaster University, and I was a consultant on Feminism Is. So, who is this book for? Feminism is for any young adult, regardless of gender, who's interested in learning more about the struggle for gender equality. So the last few years, especially since the Me Too movement, have seen this really gratifying surge of interest in feminism, especially among young people. So if you become aware of feminism, perhaps through social media and want more, this book is for you. The book gives a history of feminist movements. It introduces some inspiring feminist role models, some well-known, some less so, and it looks at the issues that affect young men and women today as part of a longer story of struggles for equality and social justice. And what's really important is that it does that in a way that affirms and celebrates difference. This is important because I think doing justice to intersectionality or to the differences within feminism has sometimes been seen as a bit intimidating or a bit too difficult. And the whole team at DK really embraced that challenge. So we really wanted to engage with Black feminism, with LGBTQ rights movements, with kind of labour activism, with disability movements, with all of that diversity that makes up feminist thought and feminist activism.